Dragon Ballers, if you're looking to buy Dragon Ball Super or One Piece sealed product, make sure to get 5% off using my link to Mystic TCG down in the description. You can also sell cards to them using their Facebook link, which is also down in the description. Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. In today's video, I'm sharing with you guys my competitive build for Majin Vegeta. If I was taking this to a regional, this is pretty much the list I would play. I think it's really strong. Yellow seems to be on a track to where it might be the best color in the format. Not by like a mile or anything, but it may just be the best color in this current format, or at least the beginning of Power Absorb format. And I think this deck has a lot going for it, but we'll cover all that in the video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys do want to help support the channel, if you want to bind the cards for this deck or any trading cards for that matter, it does really help me out if you go to the description, use my link to TCG Player. I actually revitalized the description and just created a link tree to put all the links for the channel in one simple organized place. So hopefully you find that a little bit easier than like scrolling through the description and reading the fine print. Let me know if you guys like that or not. But anyways, let's go into the profile here. So we have the leader with a very simple awaken condition. That is, if you have a Goku in play and you have 2 or more energy and the Goku has a cost of 2 or more, you get to awaken. So your Z deck guarantees that, but you would prefer to draw one of your main deck Gokus that we'll see in a bit. The awaken side of leader is very good. When you attack, draw a card, obviously activate main / battle, tap a Goku or a Trunks, and then tap one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons. The flexibility on that is so good, both offensively and defensively, and that's going to lead to a lot of your draw power. And then activate battle, take a life, gain 5k for the turn. Doing that on your Z awaken turn is going to make your Z leader a base 25k, which means your opponent's probably not doing damage to you that turn. That is a really strong grouping of effects. The leader itself is just very good. Let's take a look at the main deck here. We start off with 4 copies of Goku and Vegeta Ultimate Duo. This card alone is like a huge reason to play any Goku or Vegeta leader. This card is so good. Play it for 1. Kill anything in rest mode after negating its skills. You actually have a great answer to Indestructible now, which before you kind of had to like Final Flash and then use some sort of removal to kill it. It's also nice in Yellow Mirrors because you can remove Frieza Divine Transformation off the board. This card is just absolutely insane. Like, it's almost like Turles, but it doesn't draw a card, but it costs 1 less energy, and its removal is more broken. So, yeah, I think this card pretty much just power creeps Turles in any Saiyan deck that is a Goku or Vegeta. Then we have 4 copies of Vegeta Destined Battle and 4 copies of Goku Destined Battle. So these are the only starter deck main deck exclusive cards we are playing. Destined Battle Goku is so vital. You need to open this card. That's why I'm playing a clean 50 card list. I just need to see this card turn 1, because once you do and you combine it with your leader's awakened ability to tap it, you're drawing 2 cards per turn, and that's how you keep up with all the other decks in the format with their insane amounts of draw power, especially the red decks. I posted a gameplay video on the Patreon, which will come to the channel eventually, but in that video I was playing against Vegeta that had 19 cards in hand. I had a respectable 14 cards, but that's nowhere near 19. I was still able to clutch the win, and I go over a lot of my play lines and thought processes in that game if you guys want to check it out, or totally feel free to wait for it to come to the channel. But yeah, this card is so vital. You need to see it because it gets you awakened and contributes to your draw power. It's super important. Vegeta Destined Battle though, 1 drop, draw a card, 25k, and then turn 3 and beyond it's double striker. This card's insane. Like, I really think that Trunks Vegeta list should consider playing 1 to 2 of this for the double strike finish, but this deck obviously you need 4 copies because it's just live like every single turn. So that might even be the case for other Vegeta or Goku decks as well, depending on if you have Gokus in play or in your Z energy commonly. I mean, any deck you play Ultimate Duo, you're probably able to have a Goku somewhere in your battle area or Z energy to make Destined Battle Vegeta live. So definitely consider it. This card is really strong. Then we have our super combos. Of course, we have our 3 Krillins and our 1 Piccolo Gohan. I still think Piccolo Gohan is the SCR for yellow. I know the first place list from Europe was playing cooler, and Golden Frieza is definitely a bit more of a control deck, so it can play a slower game. But in general, I mean, red is still a thing, so I want to have the super combo that's best against aggro, because those games sometimes won't go to turn 5, and I want my SCR to be playable every single game that I play in Swiss, not just the super grindy games. Cooler's incredible in the grindy games, but Piccolo is playable and incredible in all the games. That's my thought process on it, at least. Then we have 2 copies of SS3 Goku Universe at Stake. This card's been a really solid finisher, just tapping down the energy my opponent has and then going in with my other various threats, because this only costs 2. My Z leader is free, So this thing coming down as a 2-drop is honestly kind of unfair. Of course, your opponent can negate before you have the opportunity to tap the energy, but pairing this card with Swift Calculation Cooler fixes that problem. This card is just insane. Now, one thing I want to talk about is you could, of course, play Planet Vegeta to search out Goku Destined Battle. I've been talking about how vital that card is to the strategy, and you could think like, well, let's just play Planet Vegeta and search that card turn 1. The problem is, though, if you have Planet Vegeta in your battle area and it's not in rest mode, you don't get to restand your Goku universe at stake, and that to me is not worth the upside of playing Planet Vegeta. If there was some convenient way to tap Planet Vegeta, I would consider it. If you guys have ideas, let me know in the comments, but I'm really not looking for ways that either cost a bunch of energy or go through some convoluted, impractical combo. But if there was a way to do that, if there was a way to simply tap Planet Vegeta and then play Universe at Stake, get its full effect off, I would very much be interested in that. But at this point, I think it's either play Universe at Stake or cut it all together and play Planet Vegeta. But this is kind of like my only top end, and it's a really good top end in a low to the ground deck like this, because this is an aggressive yellow deck. This is not like a control aggro deck. It's somewhat mid-range, but definitely on the more aggro side of mid-range, and this is the perfect top end for a deck like that. All right, next up we have 4 copies of Kibito Kai Potara on display. This card is vital because it searches out our Destined Battle Goku, so we are playing 4 copies in a 50-card deck. Our odds are pretty decent, and I love the Activate main of playing any 1-drop from your deck. It reminds me so much of Lone Fire Blossom from Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was a broken card in its respective formats. This card in this game is a bit different. It's not necessarily broken, but it is very, very good to search out your different 1-drops, or just go into another copy of itself to literally just thin the deck and make your deck more likely to draw you into your secret rare, your super combos. That is just a really good like card game mechanics advantage. Then we have 3 copies of SS Vegito Overwhelming Might. This is the MVP against red decks right now. It's so good against Gogeta 8-drop because they can't just clear your entire board for free if you successfully play this card. It's just so good. We, of course, have our 4 copies of Robotic Riposte, and this should follow up by our extra card lineup: 3 Frieza Army Reinforcements, 1 Power of a Super Saiyan, 2 Forbidden Power, 2 Black Kamehameha, and 1 Final Flash, I believe, rounds out our extra card lineup. I mean, this is pretty typical. Now, we have a lot of floodgates. We have 3 copies of Vegito, 4 copies of Riposte. It's not often we'll get to the combo step, but Black Kamehameha is still just a good card, especially since our leader does benefit a little bit from the combo step with the Senzu Bean-esque effect on the leader that, again, goes into the 25kz leader. And there's still, like, some Arrival-based decks and, like, fake Arrival decks, like Gogeta, for example, that play things during battle. And when they do that, you can always just Black Kamehameha and tap them down. Same thing with blue for, like, Goku Black Mortals Be Gone. That's an option as well. Forbidden Power, you can definitely play this or Nimbus. I think that like in the Trunks Vegeta Yellow Mirror and in some other matchups, I think the ability to tap down barrier is actually kind of important. So that's why I'm favoring Forbidden Power here. And this does pair nicely because we do have a blocker in the deck, albeit you want your Destined Battle Goku to live as often as you can allow it to. So, you don't want to block with Goku if it's surely going to die unless you have to. But it still does work. We still do have battle tricks here, so like Forbidden Power plus the energy to use Black Kamehameha can always be solid. Now, one thing I want to mention is I'm not playing Zarbon in this current iteration of the list. That's the set 1 Zarbon, the yellow card. When it's combo during your opponent's turn, restand one of your battle cards. That card does have really good synergy in this deck. It would restand Destined Battle for a double block. Destined Battle Goku, by the way. It would also restand Destined Battle Vegeta. Since he is a servant, he doesn't restand normally during your charge phase. However, I've cut that from this list because in my playtesting, the card feels really good on paper, but hasn't come up nearly as much in actual practical gameplay. Because the cards I want to restand don't have barrier. They typically just get removed before I have the opportunity to do that. That probably has a lot to do with the fact that I test majority with my team, and we all have a really big focus on clearing board every single turn. So even though you would think like, oh, why would they clear the servant? Because it's pretty hard to restand the card. I mean, Zarbon does it for free, and the Z deck does it for cheap. So yeah, it is still good to remove the servants, and I guess that's why Zarbon hasn't felt so good to me. But on a local level, Zarbon probably probably gets a lot more value out of its cheesiness than like I don't know, I guess competitive testing, you could say. That's just my thoughts and rationale. But anyways, moving along. Oh, we do have 2 Tyrannical Blow. So yeah, I forgot. I am maining T-Blow in this list. This meta is very Floodgate heavy, and we are playing an aggro deck, so I want answers to Floodgates. Pretty much just that simple. We have 2 copies of Metacooler Infinite Terror. This card is absolutely insane in any yellow deck that plays a Z leader. I know you can also free counterattack with it as long as you have a Z battle card in play, but that's far less reliable than having an actual Z leader that your opponent cannot get off the field typically. So yeah, this card, absolutely insane. Any deck that has a Z leader, I love it. Moving along, we have 2 copies of Swift Caliation Cooler. Definitely consider siding a third, and even T-Blow, consider siding like 2 more copies because answering floodgates in this format is really important. We have our 1 copy of Bergamo. To be honest with you, this one doesn't come up all that much. Maybe we can chop Bergamo for Zarbon if we want to, but I figure the ability of the leader to just tap things on command would give Bergamo a bit more play. But to be honest, I don't think I've just been drawing it like at the key opportunities. I think it is really good if you draw at the right time. Then we have 1 copy of Secret Identity Masked Sand. For me, this has become the overwhelm of choice in most decks. There are just very niche scenarios where Dark Broly is better, or I guess now it would be the SS4 Vegeta overwhelm. I think a lot of times Secret ID is just the better option. We have 2 copies of Trunks the Cunning. Talked about this recently. I do think Cunning is just a good 2 of main deck in most decks because Android 21 is a pretty popular strategy right now. So just having this 1-drop to make their life that much more difficult, I think is a really good idea. And it also happens to be a Trunks Youth that our leader and Z leader can tap to do various effects. We have 1 copy of Goku and Vegeta Alliance of Rivals. So this is a card you can bring out off Kibito Kai and it will regain barrier going into the next turn, so it's generally pretty safe. And this is a card you can tap over and over and over again for your Z leader to ensure that you generate draws, because your Z leader's draws are restricted to being able to tap a Goku or a Trunks, and having a barrier version of that is definitely pretty consistent. And we have 1 copy of Majin Buu Vile Onslaught. Simply a 1-drop 30k double strike beater in this deck, but I mean, for that 1 energy, it does apply ample pressure. And we want to kill by like turn 4, maybe turn 5 if we're playing against a bit of a slower, grindier deck. And this card for that 1 energy does feel pretty nice. We're not playing Mirror Creator Absorbed in this deck. You know, without Champa, that card just feels a little bit lackluster. Although it's probably not too bad, but this card serves a similar function, just being a really big stat stick that just, you know, puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. Now, with that all out of the way, let's go check out the Z deck. We will scroll down here. So currently, I mean, this is still pretty flexible. We, of course, have the Z leader. There's no negotiation on this, of course. We have 2 copies of Goku Overflowing Aura. I do like 2 of this because typically I like to play the first one from under my Z leader via the Z stack. And this thing playing for 1 is insane. Like 25k swinger, restand your servant for another 25k swing. That's insane. It is your guaranteed awakening method. That's why the second copy is really good. But even in the late game, the second copy can come up if you didn't need it to self-awaken. So yeah, card is really good in this deck. We do have 3 copies of Vegeta Terrifying Agent of Destruction. It is definitely a bit costly in this deck, there's no question about that, but being able to remove anything ignoring barrier, not having it need to be in rest mode, is very good. Definitely deserves a 1-up slot for that reason. We have 1 Oolong just to copy our big attackers and try to push that extra damage, but to be honest with you, this guy's been coming up a lot less lately, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to cut it, even with that being the case. 1 Evolved Defender. This is a bit too control-y for this deck, I will say. I don't really cast this card very often. And then we're just trying out Gamma 2 Executing Justice. Decks like Blue Baby and Hachiyak aren't really popular in this format, but I feel like I have the Z-Deck space to have this in here just to punish them if I do come across those matchups. But again, this is not like a super vital card. These last 2 slots, Evolved Defender and Executing Justice, you can definitely mess around with them. I'm also not playing the 3-drop Boozy battle card, which is from the starter deck itself. That card, while a 19k dual attacker is nice, I just think that every other card in here is just better. I don't think that card's super necessary. And I'm not playing Overflowing Aura every single turn 2. So it's not even that often that I would Z-stack the Boo, so it just doesn't have a lot of playability in this strategy. But anyways, guys, that is the deck list. Of course, I do want in the comments below what you think. Hopefully I explained some of the tech cards that a lot of you guys might be playing and why I'm not playing them. But of course, again, if you have questions, drop them down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.